speaker will be Neil Anderson. The title of his speech is Following Instructions Can Sometimes Get You Into Trouble. Following Instructions Can Sometimes Get You Into Trouble by Neil Anderson.
When you're learning a new skill, it's usually advisable to follow instructions. Let me give you some examples of how following instructions can be useful. And an example of where, when you follow the instructions, it can sometimes get you into trouble. I like to bake. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm a master chef, but I like to bake. Although my family doesn't like to be around when I'm baking. I'm the baker that has to have everything in order and follow the instructions exactly. So the cookbook goes in the center of the counter. The bowls and the measuring cups, the spoons and the measuring spoons are all there. The cookie sheets are here, the oven is preheated. You follow the instructions exactly the way they're printed in the cookbook, right? I'm the kind that when you measure the shortening, I use the spatula, smooth off the top so that it's absolutely the exact measurement. My wife watches me and says, "What on earth are you doing? Just take the spoon, because then you've got the measuring cup all dirty. How are you going to measure the sugar and the flour, because now it's dirty?" Well, there's a simple solution to that, sweetheart. Why don't you go back into the computer room and I'll wash between measurements. You measure the sugar, you wash. You measure the shortening, you wash. The family can't be there while I'm baking, you see. But following the instructions gets you exactly what you want. Although, the last time I made chocolate chip cookies, I didn't exactly follow the instructions in the recipe. And they were the best batch of cookies that I've ever made. And we took some to a friend and he said, "So what did you change in your recipe? These are a little different." I couldn't tell him because I hadn't followed the instructions exactly. A second example, I'm a language teacher. Languages are rule governed. So there are rules that you can follow when you study a language. I've studied a semester of Chinese, 2 semesters of German, and maybe about 3 weeks of French. Spanish is the language that I've studied the most. I try really hard when I'm in a Spanish-speaking context to listen closely to the accent of the people I'm with, so that I can mirror their languages, following the rules of language. A year ago, my wife and I were living in Guatemala, and we had an opportunity to speak to a group of people. When we were finished, a friend came up and he said, "Your wife's Spanish is absolutely perfect. She speaks like a Guatemalan. Her grammar is perfect. Her pronunciation is ideal." He said, "If I closed my eyes, I wouldn't know she was a North American." And then he paused and he said, "But you, Mr. Linguist, you have a very strong North American accent. You still have severe problems with the grammar." And I thought, well, thanks for building on my wife, but what about me? Another example. Sometimes following the rules for baking and language learning work. But when is following the rules dangerous? I was about 14 years old, and I was learning to water ski. Every summer, we spent maybe at least 1 weekend a month with my aunt and uncle and their children on a lake, and I loved being out on the water. But I had never learned how to water ski. So on this particular warm July Saturday, my uncle said, "Neil, this is the year we're going to teach you how to water ski." And I said, "Okay, I just need to know what the instructions are. What are the rules?" And he says, "Okay, pull your knees right up as close as you can get them to your chest, skis out of the water, hold on to the tow rope. When you think you're balanced, just yell, hit it, and we'll take off and we'll pull you out of the water. You don't have to do anything, we'll pull you out of the water. First attempt, smash, I was in the water. Second attempt, I was in the water. Third attempt, what am I doing wrong? My uncle said, okay, here's the key instruction I forgot to tell you. Don't let go of the rope. He said, you're almost getting out of the water, and you let go of the rope. And I said, okay, this time, don't let go of the rope. Knees up against the chest, skis out of the water, arms straight. Don't let go of the rope, don't let go of the rope, don't let go of the rope. Hit it! Don't let go of the rope, don't let go of the rope. I get up out of the water, and I fall. Don't let go of the rope, don't let go of the rope. It wasn't until my swimming suit left the tips of my toes before I let go of the rope. Too late to grab the suit. And my 16-year-old cousin is in the boat. How am I going to get out of the water? When you're baking, instructions can be useful and helpful. When you're learning a language, instructions can be helpful. But when you're learning to water ski, sometimes those instructions can get you into trouble. Thank you.